In the bustling heart of New York City, under the glaring lights of the Late Show studio, a legendary confrontation unfolded that would etch itself into television history. Clint Eastwood, the iconic cowboy from spaghetti westerns and gritty cop dramas, stepped onto the set with his signature squint and gravelly voice, promoting his latest directorial venture that had critics buzzing. David Letterman, the king of late-night sarcasm with his top 10 lists and ironic wit, greeted him with that trademark smirk, ready to probe the man behind the myth. The audience erupted in applause as Eastwood settled into the guest chair, his presence commanding silence amid the cheers. Little did viewers at home know, this interview was about to veer off the rails into uncharted territory of raw emotion and unfiltered truth. Eastwood, known for his no-nonsense persona forged in films like Dirty Harry and Unforgiven, wasn't there for fluff. He came to discuss real issues, from Hollywood's shifting sands to personal convictions that had shaped his storied career. Letterman, ever the provocateur, started light, cracking jokes about Eastwood's age-defying stamina and his ventures into politics as mayor of Carmel. But as the conversation deepened, Eastwood's responses grew terse, his eyes narrowing like in a high-noon showdown. The host pushed boundaries, questioning the actor's conservative leanings and his outspoken views on freedom and individualism, topics that Eastwood had championed publicly. Tension simmered beneath the surface, the studio air thick with anticipation. Eastwood leaned forward, his voice low and deliberate, defending his beliefs with the intensity of a man who stared down villains on screen and in life. Letterman, sensing the shift, doubled down with a quip that landed like a misfired bullet, mocking Eastwood's rugged image as outdated in modern Hollywood. The audience laughed nervously, but Eastwood's. As the interview progressed, the rift widened, with Letterman's probing questions delving into Eastwood's political endorsements and his vocal support for causes that clashed with the host's liberal-leaning audience. Eastwood, unflinching, recounted anecdotes from his mayoral days, highlighting bureaucratic red tape that mirrored Hollywood's creative constraints, his words laced with frustration over lost American values. The studio lights seemed to intensify the spotlight on their faces, sweat beading on brows as voices rose in pitch. Letterman, with his band playing subtle cues in the background, attempted to lighten the mood with a self-deprecating joke about his own failed attempts at seriousness. But Eastwood wasn't amused, countering with a pointed remark on the erosion of meritocracy in entertainment. The audience's laughter faded into uneasy murmurs, sensing the undercurrent of genuine discord. Eastwood elaborated on his film's themes of redemption and justice, drawing parallels to societal ills like overregulation and cultural decay, his passion evident in every measured syllable. Letterman interrupted, challenging the actor's views on gun rights, a nod to Dirty Harry's famous line, framing it as archaic in a postmodern world, which elicited gasps from the crowd. Eastwood's response was legendary, a calm yet fierce defense of personal responsibility, his eyes locking onto Letterman's with the intensity of a film close-up. The exchange turned personal when the host referenced Eastwood's empty chair Oscars speech, twisting it into a critique of divisiveness, prompting Eastwood to retort about free speech's sanctity. Tensions peaked as Eastwood accused the media of bias, his voice booming across the set, echoing off the rafters. Letterman, defensive now, fired back with sarcasm about Hollywood's elite bubble, but it only fueled Eastwood's fire, leading to a standoff where neither backed down. Crew members exchanged glances, the director hovering. The turning point arrived abruptly when Letterman, in a bid to reclaim control, made a jest about Eastwood's age and relevance, comparing him to relics from a bygone era, which struck a nerve deeper than anticipated. Eastwood's face darkened, his silence more eloquent than words, before he unleashed a torrent of rebuttal, decrying the superficiality of modern media that prioritized shock over substance. The audience's reaction split the room, half in stunned silence, the other half applauding the actor's boldness. Letterman, eyebrows raised in mock surprise, pressed further, questioning Eastwood's disdain for cancel culture, framing it as out of touch, which only amplified the star's indignation. Eastwood countered with stories from his war veteran father, instilling values of honor and perseverance that he felt were fading in contemporary society. The host's laughter rang hollow now, his attempts at levity clashing against the gravity of Eastwood's convictions. As the debate raged, Eastwood gestured emphatically, his hands cutting through the air like in a tense scene from one of his films, emphasizing points on freedom of expression and artistic liberty. Letterman, cornered, resorted to ad hominem, alluding to Eastwood's personal scandals, a low blow that elicited boos from sections of the crowd. The actor's response was measured but cutting, defending his life's work and refusing to be defined by tabloid fodder. Tension mounted as the interview timer ticked down, the crew signaling for wrap-up, but neither man yielded, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of passion. Eastwood articulated his vision for future projects, undeterred by critics, his resolve shining through the adversity. Letterman's band struck up a transitional tune, but it couldn't mask the palpable strain. Viewers at home leaned closer to screens, captivated by this unfiltered clash of titans. With the atmosphere electric, Eastwood's frustration boiled over into direct confrontation, accusing Letterman of embodying the very media hypocrisy he abhorred, prioritizing ratings over respectful dialogue. The host, taken aback, defended his style as harmless entertainment, but Eastwood dismissed it as evasive, demanding substantive engagement. The studio fell into a hush broken only by the actor's steady voice recounting instances where his views were misconstrued by outlets like Letterman's show. Letterman, regaining composure, quipped about Eastwood's intensity rivaling his on-screen personas, attempting to diffuse, but it backfired, eliciting a stern rebuke on the seriousness of cultural erosion. Audience members whispered, some nodding in agreement with Eastwood's points on self-reliance and moral decay in entertainment. The exchange veered into Eastwood's military family heritage, paralleling it to today's youth lacking discipline, a topic that resonated yet polarized. Letterman's counterarguments highlighted diversity and inclusion, clashing head-on with Eastwood's emphasis on merit and toughness. As minutes waned, the actor's anecdotes from film sets illustrated his philosophy, tales of overcoming odds that mirrored the current standoff. The host's persistence irked, leading Eastwood to question the sincerity of late night's facade of openness. Crew intervention loomed, but the duo pressed on, voices rising in fervor. This deepened dive exposed Eastwood's depth beyond the squint, a thinker grappling with legacy in a changing world. Letterman's humor, once a shield, now seemed a crutch, unable to bridge the ideological chasm. Fans later dissected every word, praising Eastwood's unyielding spirit. The interview's core conflict, authenticity versus artifice, unfolded vividly, captivating a nation tuning in. Eastwood's references to classic American ideals stirred patriotism amid the barbs. Climaxing the discord, Eastwood rose from his seat mid-sentence, his chair scraping loudly against the floor, declaring the interview a farce that exemplified media manipulation he had long criticized. Letterman's eyes widened in genuine shock, stammering a plea to continue, but Eastwood, with dignified poise, strode toward the exit, pausing only to address the camera directly about standing for principles over popularity. The audience gasped collectively, a mix of shock and admiration rippling through the theater. Cameras capturing the stunned host left speechless for the first time. Security hovered discreetly, but Eastwood's exit was unescorted, a lone figure against the backdrop of flashing lights and murmuring crowd. Letterman, recovering, ad-libbied a joke about the abrupt end, but it fell flat amid the chaos, the band awkwardly filling the void with music. Backstage whispers turned to frenzy as producers scrambled to manage the fallout, Eastwood's team confirming his dissatisfaction with the disrespectful tone. Viewers flooded social media, though nascent then, with reactions, hailing the actor's boldness in an era before viral outrage. The host cut to commercial, the screen fading on empty chair, echoing Eastwood's infamous Oscars moment. This walk-off cemented the legend, a defiant stand against perceived condescension, replayed in highlight reels for years. Letterman's show recovered with spin, but the incident scarred his reputation for handling tough guests. Eastwood, true to form, issued no apology, later reflecting in interviews on the importance of boundaries in public discourse. The moment's raw power lay in its spontaneity, unscripted rebellion against talk show